Hello and welcome back to the YouTube home of the Reptile Goth. I am Morgan. Now today we're going to kick off our Serpent Sunday series, and if you like what you see and you want to keep up with this, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that bell. Now today it is episode 1, so we're just going to talk about why snakes are so cool and important. Our first stop on this journey learning about our fun little snake friends is way back in the Middle Jurassic epoch, because somewhere between 174.1 and 163.5 million years ago, snakes evolved for the very first time. In fact, our very first fossil that we have found is from 167 million years ago from a very small snake species that would have lived in the south of England. And from their humble beginnings, snakes have managed to turn into over 3,000 species. However, that number is constantly changing as we put more puzzle pieces into the collage that is their evolutionary history. These 3,000 plus species of snakes have managed to conquer our globe during their many million years on this planet, and they can be found anywhere from the treetops to the seas, except of course in the polar regions, because it's simply too cold, or on younger islands where they haven't gotten the chance to disperse. So along with conquering the land and sea in which they live, snakes had to overcome the challenge of being limbless in order to catch their prey. Now some species do that by constricting in order to subdue and consume, and others employ venom. And they all are able to swallow their prey whole because they have specialized skulls and teeth exactly for that purpose. Beyond just overcoming limblessness to catch a meal, they had to develop very specialized forms of locomotion, a couple of which are shared with some other limbless species. However, some of them are unique to snakes and unique even to certain species of snakes. Now, getting around in your environment is not quite enough, so snakes have developed very unique color patterns. Each species may look similar, but they use these patterns for different reasons. Some have muted browns, blacks, grays to blend into their environment, while others have the bright, bold, red, yellow, black colors to stand out. And specifically, standing out advertises, hey, I'm venomous, stay away from me, or they want you to think they're venomous and to stay away. The best example of this would be like the venomous coral snake and the harmless mountain king snake. And if you have these genes, the only way you can pass them on is by reproduction. And I mean, everyone knows snakes lay eggs, right? But not all snakes. Some of them have been clever enough to adapt a way in which to give live birth. And they do this essentially by housing the eggs within the mother until a young is born that is still encased in an egg-like membrane, not an actual egg shell. Now, once a baby snake is born, it's going to need to grow. And growth can be a little difficult if you have a hard, scaly exterior. And the way to get around this is to undergo a dramatic ecdysis. Now, ecdysis is just a big fancy word that means shed or molt. And this process is not unique to snakes. It happens all over the animal kingdom. However, snakes are known for leaving a very long, perfect, intact shed skin along trails, in bushes, rocks, or inside their enclosures when it's time for them to be cleaned. Now, as the young snake grows and develops, it's going to play a very important role in its ecosystem. Usually, their main food source tends to be small animals like rodents that eat the seeds of not only wild plants and inhibit their dispersal, but also crop plants, and they can also be damaging in other agricultural purposes. And snakes help control that. Also, these species that they eat do tend to carry diseases or ticks and other creatures like that. So snakes play a very important role in just pest control, and they do it all for free. Now, besides providing a pest control service for free, again, they're a very large food source for other predators in their environments, like birds of prey, foxes, coyotes. Those kinds of things are also going to eat snakes, as well as other snakes. Species like king snakes do tend to like to prey on other species. And also, a fairly recent study has found evidence that because they eat a lot of rodents, they play a role in dispersing seeds of the plants those rodents may have been feeding on as well. I'll link that article down below in the description, as well as all my other resources, like always. Now, what benefit do snakes have to humans exactly? Well, I already mentioned they control pests that can target the agricultural industry. And also, because they eat species that can carry diseases, they play a role in disease control as well. But that's not all. Some venomous species have certain chemicals in their venom that is used in very specific cancer drugs or other medicinal uses, and there's evidence of this going all the way back to ancient Greek medicine practices. And because snakes do tend to be fairly easy to keep in captivity, they play a very large role in educational facilities like reputable zoos and traveling education programs. And besides all of that, there is also a market for their flesh and skins as well. Now, some of this is not entirely a legal market, but there is still a fairly large trade in very legal snake products. And they have another economic value because there's a fairly healthy economy of breeders and hobbyist enthusiasts that own these species and help boost the economic values there and indirectly spread education and awareness on their own. So as far as snakes go, there's not really a whole lot of negative impact on people other than widespread cultural paranoia, where you get myths like the aggressive snake. Now, there's no such thing as an aggressive snake, only a defensive snake. They would much rather get away from a human than anything else. They are not an apex predator, therefore they do tend to err on the side of fear. Remember, if you see a snake, it's more afraid of you than you are of it. Never forget that. And the biggest thing about them is I love them very much, and they are very misunderstood throughout. Doesn't matter what species you're talking about. So if you want to see more Serpent Sunday posts, remember to like, subscribe, ring that bell, maybe comment down below if you feel so inclined. And check out thereptilegoth.com for more articles and any more information. And I will see you next time in our next Serpent Sunday, or check back for more videos if you feel like it. Bye.